それはいけないな。今度私が使っている先発量をあげるから。
The Shell Part 1 Inferno is an HD revision of the classic mystery visual novel Kara no Shoujo. Developed by Innocent Gray, the title's changed publisher from Manga Gamer to Shirofune in this new release, with the promise of the final episode of the trilogy coming west. This gives us an opportunity to review the entire trilogy, starting with the first entry. Before we get into the review, we'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for making this possible. Please take a second to check out patreon.com/noisypixel to support independent game journalism.
なぜ俺が探偵だ。
あなたの家からついてきたからね、時坂さん。
The Shell Part 1 is a period drama that follows the story of Tokisaka Reggie, a detective who lost his wife to a serial killer 6 years before the game's events. The year is currently 1956, and a new brutal case is happening in Tokyo. The targets this time are young girls still in high school. Besides the age of the victims, the brutality of their deaths add another grotesque layer to the case. Not only are they killed, and their bodies show up in many places of the city, but the cases include mutilation while still alive. The removal of reproductive organs with insertion of black eggs is only the beginning of the morbid details. Though the police are already investigating these deaths, Sergeant Ozume requests Reggie to help find the truth. However, he has also been scouted out by a woman named Saike, the vice principal of the Oba Girls Academy, to find out the whereabouts of a missing student. Gathering information on them forces the protagonist to act like a fake history teacher and spend a lot of time in this girls-only school. At the same time, he also has a third request from a mysterious girl with long black hair. This young woman is named Toko Kuchiki, who asks him to look for her true self. Reggie is clueless about how to handle this one at first, leaving it as an afterthought. But eventually, he understands her reasoning. Honestly, it took me a while to get acclimated and interested in the world that the Shell presents. The beginning is a slow burn with some silly banter that sometimes feels excessive and detracting. However, once the game has been fully established, the setting and the deaths had weight. It became a compelling read with intriguing characters and discussions of themes. One of the main attractions of the Shell is the atmosphere. The jazzy soundtrack, the beautiful art style with some female characters looking like porcelain, and the occasional poetry-like writing that can make it a unique experience. Although the resolutions of the cases are simple, the game is a beautiful reflection of its characters' twisted, flawed, and human nature. Besides the visual novel aspects of the experience, which takes over most of the time, there are a few investigation moments. The idea is that Reggie has to look through a crime scene and meaningful locations for hints that will help make the difference into resolving the case. At times, Reggie will look back and try to piece together things by picking specific names or clues, and it's possible to not have the right one depending on how you've explored the areas in your everyday free time. However, the point-and-click-like gameplay is simple and not very often used in this genre, allowing the visual novel storytelling to be the actual meat of the experience. These investigations sometimes feel poorly designed by not distinguishing the clickable areas, forcing the player to click multiple times on the same area and even having correct click orders. People who are used to more robust mystery games may end up disappointed by this part of the experience. Despite how gorgeous the illustrations of the characters look, the game is light on H scenes. However, while that could have meant removing them would not significantly impact the experience for some people, the Steam version removes the gore and makes the investigations more difficult by covering and hiding the corpse details. As such, we recommend using the 18+ patch to play this properly. Compared to the previous edition, the Shell Part 1 runs at 720p, has voice acting for Reggie, a few changes to the interface, and a smaller font. The game also has a new translation for text to be consistent with the upcoming sequels. Though it's very fluid to read, it sometimes feels like the translation is too modern for the period and adds some unnecessary jokes for flavor's sake. The Shell Part 1 Inferno is a unique visual novel with an artistic undertone oozing from its period atmosphere. Though flawed in multiple individual parts, the whole package stands strong as an experience with an undeniably lasting impression. Honestly, the sequels can't come soon enough to quench the thirst that it leaves behind. Noisy Pixel is giving the Shell Part 1 Inferno an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Voice Pixel.